Good evening, ladles and jelly spoons, and welcome to BunkaMania, Bunkazilla UK's official wrestling podcast. We have got a lot of stuff to talk about, so we are not going to waste too much time with the pleasantries today. I am Jeremy Graves. If you are joining us for the first time, thank you very much for joining us. But I am not alone, because of course, I cannot do this without my tag team partner. That being the Dekker Dane, Mr. Iain Boulton. Good sir, how the devil are you doing tonight?
I am doing delightful, and I'm another year older, so I'm old. I'm 37 now. I turned 37 last week, but I've been 37 for a week, and I already don't like it.
I mean, look, I'll put it this way. As Diamond Dallas Page may say, you're 37 years young.
Oh, well, that's a good time to start being a wrestler then.
There you go, right? In fairness, actually, I think DDP didn't start wrestling until he was around this point in his life, actually, if memory serves.
I think 36,
yeah.
I think. Was
you
when
can do
he
it in a time.
Oh, that's going to require a lot of work and a lot of time, which I might not have right now.
That requires effort.
I want to do the wrestling, but I don't want to do it. Anyway.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this edition of BunkaMania. We are live here on Wednesday, 18th of May. For the first time, Mr. Dekker Dane, which we perhaps want a little quick explanation of time. For the first time, would you want to give a little quick overview as to why that is?
Yes. So for nearly about a year, we've been doing this over on the Twitch channel, Bunkazilla's UK Twitch channel over there. And obviously, all the episodes, or majority of the episodes, do come over to the YouTube channel a couple of days later. Now, because there's a lot of changes happened in our sort of actual personal lives over the last couple of months in terms of job changes and stuff like that. So this is a way to kind of simplify the workload and to make sure you guys get the content quicker rather than waiting a couple of days. So basically, as soon as the video's finished streaming here on YouTube, you guys have it straight away. The audio listeners and out there, thank you so much for listening. If you're listening to this on audio, you'll get that within a day. So you're not waiting too long. You get it pretty quickly. And yeah, we're just going to see how it goes on YouTube for a couple of streams, see how it goes. And yeah, that's generally it. Nothing's changing with the show. We're still here. We're still talking about it. I think we're doing it every 2 weeks now. So we'll be 2 weeks after this episode. We'll do another episode. So yeah, that's generally it. That's generally in a nutshell, just to kind of simplify things for us and to get you guys the content as soon as possible.
Indeed, and if you feel so inclined, why not hit that subscribe button and hit that notification bell so you know when Bunkazilla goes live on YouTube.
And now, a thumbs up.
Indeed,
give a thumbs up.
Give us the old thumbs up.
Yeah.
And of course, if you're joining us live in the chat, you can feel free to chat with us as well, because there's a lot to talk about tonight. But you mentioned our audio listeners, good sir. Quick shout out to all of you. If you want to check out the show in audio only form after the fact, we are available on the likes of Spotify, Amazon, Google, you name it. Search for BunkaMania, and it's a Bunkazilla, but you name it, search for BunkaMania, and you will more than likely find us there. Good sir, before we get to the primary order of the day, if you will, any additional notes we should impart on our adoring audience?
I have two. So the first one is, if you're watching the replay on YouTube, and of course if you're listening on audio, do check your descriptions. There are chapter points there. So if you want to skip straight on to a point, want to hit straight to Sasha and Naomi, time code will be there. Same with Double or Nothing and Wrestling Around the World, all that sort of stuff. And secondly, it's now time to turn to the countdown to Cody clock. Where are we from Cody? He's coming up soon. All right, fine. Well, we'll take that. We'll come back to the countdown to Cody clock a bit later on. But let's get on with the show.
Indeed. So, the main story of this week, in case you have somehow managed to live under a rock, like I try and do with some things in life, but you couldn't escape this one if you were a wrestling fan. During Monday Night Raw, as a great philosopher once said, Iain, some stuff happened.
Some stuff? That's putting it mildly, Jeremy.
Exactly. So if you're not aware, the big story of the week is the fact that Sasha Banks and Naomi, for all intent and purpose, as things stand, have walked out on WWE. And this occurred basically during Raw / just as Raw went on the air as it was being broadcast live. When it comes to a timeline of events, here are a few bits and bobs that have been pieced together. We're going to add some more information as we go along. But just to kind of set the scene here is some information that we have. Just as Raw went on the air this past Monday, that being the 16th of May, for reference, it was reported that Sasha Banks and Naomi had walked out of the arena. They were originally scheduled to take part in a 6-woman match, the Six-Pack Challenge, if you will, as WWE likes to call it, to decide Bianca Belair's next challenger for her championship. And that would be at the Hell in a Cell premium live event. Now, due to the walkout, the main event was changed specifically to Asuka versus Becky. And if memory serves as well, they actually did a specific angle on the show to explain, quote unquote, why that is the case.
Yeah, they cobbled together a very quick promo of, I think, Adam Pearce being incredibly exasperated of saying, "Oh no, they've walked out. We need to change the main event." And then they just went, "Okay, Asuka and Becky fight." There we go, and that was your main event. Yeah, that's it in the simplest of nutshells. But obviously, after the show, a little bit during the show as well.
So let's touch on that. So during the actual broadcast of Raw itself, there were references to the fact that both of them had walked out. And I haven't seen the whole show, admittedly, so I can't comment for sure. But Corey Graves was either said it himself or was being fed lines through his commentary headset referencing unprofessionalism, I think was one word that was being used.
I think I can find you the phrase very shortly. 2 moments.
Cool. Well, while you are searching for that, also during Raw, it was just after Raw had gone off the air, WWE actually issued an official statement on WWE.com regarding this matter. To quote this in full, it's not too long, but again, just to add full context here, quote, "When Sasha Banks and Naomi arrived at the arena this afternoon, they were informed of their participation in the main event of tonight's Monday Night Raw. During the broadcast, they walked into WWE Head of Talent Relations John Laurinaitis' office with their suitcases in hand, placed their tag team championship belts," we'll come back to the use of the word belt, "on his desk and walked out. They claimed they weren't respected enough as tag team champions. And even though they had 8 hours to rehearse and construct their match, they claimed they were uncomfortable in the ring with 2 of their opponents, even though they had matches with those individuals in the past with no consequence. Monday Night Raw is a scripted live TV show whose characters are expected to perform the requirements of their contract. We regret we were unable to deliver as advertised tonight's main event." End quote.
And I do have one of the key lines Corey Graves did say on the show. He said both Sasha and Naomi had summarily, that's a word, summarily and unprofessionally walked out, which I think a lot of people are kind of sense that was a fed line, or a very fed line, because we were talking about this on Facebook after it kind of broke on Monday or Tuesday morning, actually. And there were some very interesting similarities to Stone Cold walking out for the King of the Ring qualifier match against Brock Lesnar.
That was circa 2003, memory serves? 2002, 2003?
I believe it'll be before 2003, because Austin retired at Mania that year, 2003.
Let's really think. Brock faced Rock at SummerSlam 02 because he won King. So yeah, it would have been 02 then.
Yeah,
so there we go.
Yeah, 02.
Yeah.
So
the statement in and of itself, first of all, there's the actual final line of this entire thing. I burst out laughing when I saw it. "We regret we were unable to deliver as advertised tonight's main event." How many times through the years has WWE changed a main event, either with no notice, not delivered on something they had advertised, insert more lines as needed? So that was quite interesting in and of itself.
I mean, there's a good, clear thing from 2 weeks ago called a tag team unification battle, which was supposed to happen at Backlash and didn't happen. Exhibit A of many changes.
Definitely.
That you can't help if you know how WWE have usually ended up changing plans at the last minute. You know that last line's complete utter bollocks.
Exactly.
So Yeah, there's been a lot more. Obviously, after the event, a lot of the reliable and kind of the more well-known sort of wrestling news sites and that have been kind of trying to find out as much as they can and share. So there are lots of different things coming down. So, for example, PWE Insider kind of dug into the story a little bit and kind of discovered that the thing about this six-pack match was it was technically supposed to be, so it was basically the original six was supposed to be, I think Fightful actually reported what the original six was supposed to be first, was supposed to be Sasha, Naomi, Asuka, Becky, and then Doudrop and Nikki ASH. Now on Raw for the last week or so, Doudrop and Nikki have been starting to get ready to be put together as a tag team because they, as a superhero, is pretty much dead and buried, to be perfectly honest.
If you will, so, Team Scotland.
Yes, Team Scotland. So basically some of what PW Insider kind of elaborated on a little bit was that I'm trying to just keep an eye on just making sure I'm reading this correctly. So ultimately the idea, or the initial planned idea, was that Naomi was going to win this six-pack challenge. She was going to do it by pinning Nikki. There was a plan of basically the tag team partners were not going to fight one another. So the match is constructed. So there's a little bit of logic there about the match there, I guess.
So there would be no interaction between Sasha and Naomi.
Yeah, so they wouldn't be fighting one another.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, Naomi would win, go on to Hell in a Cell, and obviously lose to Belair, to be honest, because Belair's just got the belt. She's not going to drop it so easily. Then we have another path for Sasha happening. So they were going to make plans for Sasha to face Ronda at Hell in a Cell as well, probably. So so basically the use here of the tag team champions is to make the singles champions strong. And you could probably understand from their point of view as tag team champions that that's kind of devaluing their purpose. Is like they're supposed to be they're supposed to be champions, and they're being put into, well, again, this is where I can understand the frustration, because the women's tag team division has not been booked amazingly well ever since those belts have come in, to be perfectly honest. But it's like they would be in like main event style positions on the card. I don't know. I don't know.
So there's sort of two schools of thought here, because they're not being booked as a tag team to continue to elevate the championships which they hold, and they weren't on WrestleMania Backlash. So at this point, it's like, well, what the heck are we going to be doing with these? Well, we just going to, is it going to be the perennial WWE thing that they've done for so many years of, they are just belts that you hold for about a year and a half. The case in point, Paul London and Brian Kendrick are the first ones that come to mind. They held it for like 16 months or something. And I think defended it. Like
didn't Shayna and Nia Jax held them for a ridiculous amount of time?
Basically, yeah. It's like you sort of have them, and it's like when WWE choose to remember, oh, you've got those. Yeah. Defend them.
Yeah. Yeah.
But obviously, the other school of thought is you're effectively going to be in two, for want of a better phrase, high-profile matches involving the two singles champions. In essence, kind of having a champion v champion type scenario.
Yeah, so, in essence, yeah.
Yeah, but I suppose from their point of view, they probably just wanted to do more with the tag team championship. And if they're going to, again, affectionately, I'm going to call them Team Scotland. If they're going to start having Team Scotland be a thing and potentially could be challengers for them, that would make sense.
Yeah, I think I've got another thing which I'll read out. This was shared on Twitter on May 17th by Janito's Wrestling Vlog and More. I believe Naomi might be a follower of his. So he posted this through, I think this is something from Dirt Sheet Radio. Oh, no, correction. Let me change this.
No, cool.
I stand corrected. I've read this wrong. They were sharing a post. This is something I found because it was a post that I wanted to read. So this was posted by Dirt Sheet Radio, and this is basically someone close to Naomi and Sasha Banks, Adidas Head 88 on Twitter. So this is the person who has shared this information. and is followed by Naomi, so I've clarified that now, was given permission to share their side of the story. So here we go. I'm going to read this, and we'll stop it now and then just to talk about it. So you're approaching February as being put in a tag team after both being promised big feuds at WrestleMania. You bite the bullet and put everything you got into being a tag team. It works. You get over, win the titles at Mania, and become merch pushers. 5 weeks into your reign, you show up to live TV and ready to work. You are told you will be in the main event, and you are happy. You are both then told that one of you will be going over and pinning the other. So this is suggesting that...
So there's a contradiction there.
There's a contradiction there. You're both told that one of you will be going over, pinning the other. You have questions why that decision is made and how it all helps you. You request a meeting with your boss to discuss it. Your boss takes the meeting and everything is actually going well. He understands your concerns. The meeting ends well and the match is told to be reconstructed. So it may be at that point the match is reconstructed so it is actually Naomi pinning Nikki.
Okay.
For example. So it seems like the original plan was Naomi was pinning Sasha.
That there would be interaction between the tag team champions.
Yeah. So for some reason, producers get mad about it. You then ask with one of your members going over, what happens to your titles? You are basically told that you will just be carrying the belts. They want you to use you both to help both women's champions get over more. So Bianca versus Naomi and Sasha versus Ronda, as we referred to a bit earlier. Neither one of you will win the solo titles, and you won't defend your tag titles until Money in the Bank. You ask for another meeting with your boss, but this time you're being called spoiled. A producer walks away screaming. He comes back and tells both of you to fix your attitudes. You have a brief meeting amongst yourselves and decide to stand up for yourselves. You go to another boss and make it clear you just have concerns. You ask why are we even in the match and why aren't other women in it? Fair point. There are lots of other.
They've got a deep roster of women. Let's just call it like it is.
Special on Raw at the moment. You ask why your titles have no stories for 2 months. Again, you're met with fix your attitudes. So after one final meeting with yourselves and asking others, you make the ultimate decision as a team. It's sad how one side is trying to create a effed up narrative. Also, it was asked why were Nikki, Ash, and Doudrop in the match instead of starting their program tonight. Naomi nor Sasha talked down about being in the ring with either one. So the thing about people them complaining about being
another contradiction.
Another contradiction. So that is, as far as I'm aware, the Adidas Head 88 on Twitter. I think as far as a lot of people are aware, that is the side of the story that they are presenting at the moment. They haven't, but to clarify, they haven't shared their own version publicly. It has been through this meme. So
as far as we're aware, that is their. As far as we're aware, that is their side of the story.
That is correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So my school of thought is it's sort of twofold. Obviously, when it comes to having just because I've not heard their side of the story, so I'm sort of constructing this as I say this on the fly here. But sometimes in life, you've got to make a decision for what is best for you personally, regardless of what anyone else thinks about the decision. Be it a professional endeavor, a personal endeavor. Sometimes you've just got to do what is ultimately best for you as a person. So I personally completely stand with Naomi and Sasha doing what they did. From a professional point of view, is it how you want things to end? No, it's never how you want something like that to end. Should that be the ending? We'll get to that in a few moments. So I totally get it from that point of view. But if their supposed version of events, I say supposed just in case it ends up not being, ends up being the case, there is clearly a really big problem with lines of communication in backstage at WWE. Because if you have assuming that the boss they're referencing is Vince McMahon and maybe not the equivalent of like a line manager or a supervisor. One would assume if Vince has said, change the stuff, you can't really just argue it, or you could and then get it changed back. There's clearly been a line of communication here that has really broken down. But that said, I do agree. Why haven't the tag team titles had anything done with them for ages?
You're exactly right. We've had makeshift teams come together. We've had Rhea Ripley and Nikki AHS. We've had Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan. We've had Carmella and Queen Zelina. It's like a lot of these sort of makeshift teams just come together for a bit and then they go off on their separate ways or they break down. So those three I've referenced, they've all gone their own ways per se.
And to give an example from the other side of the coin, which appreciating it is the men's division I'm referencing, RK Bro is a very big exception to that rule.
Yeah. I mean, even Alpha Academy and Street Profits at the moment is like there's a lot better direction with the men's tag. I mean, it's still what isn't great that they're kind of putting all the eggs in with RK Bro and Usos. And we'll talk about that a bit later.
But it's a clear direction.
It's a clear direction, yeah. And I think that is I can understand the real frustration there. I really can, because it's like you've introduced these belts. I think Becky and Banks won the first belts at the Elimination Chamber a couple of years ago. I think this is the last WrestleMania before lockdown was when they lost the belts to the Iconics. Again, we have the reports of frustration, especially Banks asking for a release back then. Which she took some time off, and all that sort. I think that's when she went off to do Mandalorian.
Yeah, I mean that's another side of the conversation we can get to in a minute.
Yeah, so it's like I get the frustration. I think the thing is walking out is not a great thing to do. It's like cooler heads should have kind of prevailed, I guess. But again, it's like I think many people have been in that situation where they've had enough and they will walk and they will have frustrations. I mean, I've been in jobs where I've seen co-workers do that. Yep. And it's like you understand from one side, but it's still quite jarring, and it just comes across as, in one way, it's kind of you're looking after yourself, but also it's a weird sort of conundrum.
It's a lose-lose ultimately.
It's a lose-lose ultimately. Yeah, it really is. But the thing is, as well, again, we talk about the fallout from this. It's like, well, this is WWE, and WWE can be incredibly petty.
CM Punk,
Ali, for example.
Yeah,
Ali has been sat at home for a while, and now has come back. Because probably the chances are, and it's been reported at times, that WWE like to freeze contracts when talents are either injured or they have issues like this.
I'm sure that's happened to Rey Mysterio before, when he tore a bicep and he just basically had to stay for another year, pretty much.
Yeah. So it's kind of like if it's a way they want to go out, if they're trying to find a way out, I don't think WWE, as much as it's a potential outcome of one or both being released, that hasn't been announced yet at all, but I particularly would not like to see it happen end that way. But it's like if WWE know the value you will probably take to a competitor like AEW, they aren't releasing you. They did it with Ali. Roderick Strong has been trying to get out of his contract, and they've said no. Things have been reported on that. So I can sense if there's any repercussions, it's that they're just off TV and they're sidelined, either to set out the remainder of their contract, either to come back at a later point and resume their contract or whatever. It's very difficult to read how WWE will do this, because sometimes it's like for example, we look back at the Jeff Hardy incident from last year, where Jeff seemed to walk out of a match. WWE tried to sort of say, well, we think you may need to go rehab, and Jeff goes, no, and they went, okay, fine, off you go. So, and Toni Storm again asked for a release. She got it as well last year as well. So it's like there are scenarios where WWE will grant, and that's probably because they don't see the value. Maybe unfairly, they don't see the value of those talents. I don't know. It's kind of like they're just kind of going, oh, it's not going to come back and bite us in the long run, is it? So I don't know.
The thing is, WWE is a global machine.
Yeah.
And so there comes a point where I hate to use this phrase, there is someone else. Like, if there is a void, they will figure out a way, be it ultimately in a good way or a bad way, different discussion entirely. But they can just plug that gap, if you will. They can move the silhouette of a wrestler to another place in the card. They've done it before. They will do that forevermore.
True.
Now, potentially, some of the more after effects of this, let's put it that way. Like you mentioned, Sasha has previously been involved in The Mandalorian. Quite frankly, Sasha is, at this point, WWE probably need her far more than she needs WWE. She could probably very easily at this point go into more of a showbiz career, for want of a better phrase. Quite easily.
I think this was raised on, I think, Wrestle Talks Raw review when they were going through when they were kind of doing what we're doing, kind of going through the whole thing. It's like, it's funny enough. They have, and they raised the point that WWE have said on occasion they're looking to create crossover stars. They want to create crossover stars, and they've done it. And they're trying to do it with Roman Reigns, and we'll talk about Roman Reigns a little bit in his contract. They've obviously been trying to do it with Charlotte Flair as well, and all that sort of stuff. But it's like they're not trying to do it with Sasha, which is strange because Sasha is undeniably popular. Again, she was able to go off and do Mandalorian and so forth and all that sort of stuff. So it's just kind of like, you have a star there. This thing's like, on reflections, like they hit the nail on the head. WWE have a star with Sasha, and they're just kind of going, tag team belt.
But do you know what? This is an age-old thing with WWE, though, in that if it's not something that they have hit the start button on, to try and use that phrase as an all-encompassing term. Yeah, I mean, this is a weird example to bring up, but it's a case in point. Look at the former Zack Ryder, Matt Cardona. Like, he made his vlog that he was doing in his own time, off his own dime. It helped get him over outside of WWE TV. And ultimately, what did it get him? He got more popular with fans, but it wasn't the WWE machine specifically that got him there. So there was never really a proper liking to it. And that's just, it's happened all the freaking time. Now, admittedly, when it comes to Naomi, I'm personally not aware if she's involved in any other ventures. I know she obviously used to be a dancer for a sports team, I want to say. I want to say she may have been a basketball cheerleader. Don't quote me on that. I could be talking complete codswallop on that. Well, but, excuse me. But she could very easily do something else in her own right. She's more than capable of doing anything. But the extra added detail to this part of the equation with Naomi is the fact that she is she actually married to him? I can't remember. But either way,
she's definitely married.
Yeah, is married to Jimmy Uso. Now, obviously meaning Jimmy Uso, part of the, has got a pretty extended family. Let's put it that way. Which obviously includes one Romando Reigns, who is kind of a top dog, if you will, in the company. So it will be interesting to see when it comes to possible ramifications, if ultimately, if it ever comes out, because for all we know, this may never come out publicly or whatnot, if Roman's opinion helps dictate what happens next on the Naomi side of things.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of the reports today, or from one of the news sites and the videos I've been listening to, a lot of focus is on Banks rather than Naomi, and I think that the current mindset from backstage or WWE backstage is generally they don't mind Naomi. They like Naomi, or they have no issues with Naomi. There seems to be a concentrated focus on Banks. Which
everything that's been said, it does feel like, again, I'm saying this from the perspective of what we've read, what we've heard. Yeah. It's coming across like Banks was the main instigator of this. And not to say that Naomi wasn't sticking up for herself in this equation, but in that it was Banks that went, I'm going. And then Naomi went, I'll come with you. If that makes sense. It wasn't both of them collectively necessarily going, we're going. If that makes sense. I hope I phrased that in a good way.
Yeah, I mean, there's again, it's like another story that's been shared via SE Scoops through Russell again. So again, I'm looking at all these articles here, everyone. It's basically actually fellow Funkadactyl Cameron had a chat to SE Scoops, and she went on record saying, "My God, Naomi, she wouldn't do this, and I feel she wouldn't do this unless she had someone manipulating, telling her how to do this. Let's best believe if I was here, coming as a Funkadactyl, we wouldn't have been having this happening at all." So I don't again.
I didn't even know that. I didn't even know that comment had come out, and I said what I said without that knowledge either.
That came out 4 hours ago. Or that article, which I've quoted from Russell Talk, came out 4 hours ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like people again. Unsurprisingly, social media make it a minefield. It's like people are for, people are against, and people are just kind of going, "This is a work. This isn't a work." I'm going to put it out there. I don't think this is a work. I mean, the amount of spiel that's come out, I don't think it's a work. I mean, remember when Dean Ambrose had WWE made a public statement saying Dean Ambrose was leaving, and people thought it was a work. He went to AEW.
Yeah, there have certainly been exceptions to the rule. The thing is, though, anyone that thinks, and honestly, I don't know either way at this point. I'm inclined to say this is real.
Yeah,
just because it's the fact that WWE put out the statement and the way it's worded. That's the key to me. The fact that they specifically mention as well, like, what was the line? Like, Monday Night Raw is a scripted live TV show whose characters are expected to perform the requirements of their contract. That is, you don't get a WWE statement like that. And if that's been designed to be that way, to get me to say exactly what I'm saying now, it's worked. If that makes sense. But there are just certain things that are being said. Also, the fact they said the word championship belt.
Yeah.
it's
hold up your trousers. Hold up your trousers.
Exactly right. Exactly. So, yeah, either way, I just want what's best for Sasha and Naomi, ultimately. No matter what happens. And either way, people are going to have to, for want of a better phrase, live with decisions that have been made either way.
Yeah.
Just got to pick up the pieces, move on. We've all been there, be it personally or professionally in some way, when something has adversely affect you or you feel you have to take a stand for yourself. And so you just got to go with it and proceed from there.
So yeah, we'll see what happens. And obviously we'll talk about in a future episode of BunkaMania when we have more information. So before we move on, Jeremy, I think it's time to check the Cody countdown.
Oh.
And we're being told to ask again later. Fair enough. Okay. I think we can carry on with the show, Jeremy.
Adrenaline in my soul, or whatever the lyrics are.
When is Cody Rhodes?
Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes.
Where the hell is Cody Rhodes?
Oh, excuse me.
Moving on.
So, I'll tell you, Ian, I'll give you a choice here. Do we want to continue with some WWE talk, or do you fancy going into the AEW galaxy for a few minutes?
Let's talk about AEW, because we haven't really done a lot on focus on AEW, and I do feel bad about it, because obviously we've been kind of enraptured with a lot of things WWE lately in terms of Wrestlemania and Backlash, which we'll quickly touch upon a bit later on the show. But no, I think we should talk about the upcoming big show that is, of course, Double or Nothing. There it
Sunday,
is.
29th of May, Sunday night for us here in the UK / Monday morning.
Joy.
And of course, no bank holiday because of the Queen's Jubilee being later that week. So have fun staying spoiler free, folks. Just saying.
I mean, why? Why this year? Why this year, Queenie? Why? It's all right. It's fine, Queenie.
So
you're okay, Queen.
The way I believe, pardon me. Sorry, bit of context, everyone. I've been a bit ill recently, so I'm still getting over it. So if I am coughing, I'm trying to hide it. I did a very bad job then. Apologies. So the way we're going to do this is we're just going to sort of go through what is currently announced for Double or Nothing. We'll touch on various points as we go along and what some of the likely matches are going to be as well. Because no doubt tonight's episode of Dynamite is going to be newsworthy in and of itself. We'll get on to why in a few moments. But the currently announced card for Double or Nothing is as follows. AEW World Championship, it's Adam Page defending against CM Punk. I'm loving the way this has been built up. There have been some freaking great promos. Page is facing Takeshita from DDT in Japan, and Punk's going to be on commentary. And if Takeshita's match against Jay Lethal is anything to go by, if you've never seen him before, go and watch that match. It's really freaking great. This is going to be a really fun match, and I'm looking forward to hearing Punk's thoughts on it as well.
I kind of like the fact that they're both they're kind of tweening a bit. So they're kind of being heelish towards the other man, but they're also trying to do it in a face, sort of rally the rally the crowd way. And I think that's really good when you've had like two strong baby faces for a long time, especially in AEW. So I'm fascinated by this match. I think this match will be amazing. I think Punk's taking the title.
I agree. And also, I personally think if there was ever a time to strike while the iron is hot, I think this is the time to do it. I really like Adam Page as champion, but it just feels like there's a really good groundswell of momentum here. And it just feels like it's going to be the right time to do it. Also, the way the crowd is potentially going to be split that night. Yeah. You know, it's going to be something special.
It's going to be good. And I think from a long-term storytelling perspective, you've got the perfect person to dethrone him waiting in the rings with MJF.
Yep.
Because literally. They still haven't had their third rubber match. So All Out maybe? Or maybe Full Gear? Who knows?
Oh, they wouldn't let him lose. What, are they doing All Out in Chicago? I forget. Have they announced that yet?
I think it is Chicago again. And it's like, well, they've had him lose in Chicago before to MJF.
Yeah. I mean, if you want some heat, there you go. So, a women's championship, Thunder Rosa v Serena Deeb. I'm sure this is going to be a good match. In the politest way to put it, all right, it'll be a good match. I'm not really that invested in it. Just because I haven't seen Thunder Rosa do more than a promo since she defended her belt.
Yeah, I think the fact of the matter is like this is a fresh start, so I'm willing to give some more time to this. In terms of Rosa versus Deeb, it's a nice fresh matchup. We haven't really seen it before on AEW.
Yeah.
So
I'm sure it's going to be a good match, though. I'm sure
it's gonna be fun. I don't think Rosa will lose the belt. I think this is kind of like, I think Deeb still has unfinished business with Hikaru Shida. So when Shida is back on AEW, because I know she's currently off the card at the moment or off the roster for health
that's a complicated story. We might get to that. So
if we have time, we can dip into that. But no, I suspect a Rosa retention.
Owen Hart Foundation Men's Tournament. This tournament has been really good fun, from the qualifying matches through to the first round matches. It's been really good fun. The first semi-final has been determined, which if you'd have said to me in the year 2022, I would, on Dynamite tonight, as we're recording this on the 18th of May, excuse me, that we would be watching Jeff Hardy v Adam Cole, I probably couldn't have put much money on that happening.
Well, in a different universe, if the multiverse is real at all, there is a WWE ring on SmackDown where they have fought each other. And then Adam Cole has been called up as Budge.
There you go. Out of interest, have you, because I know you haven't seen much AEW recently, did you see the Jeff Hardy v Darby Allin match, or at least any highlights of it?
I haven't seen the full match, but I have seen Darby jumping off an awfully tall ladder.
Oh, it's freaking nuts. I mean, I might curb my thoughts on this for now. I have thoughts on the Owen Hart tournament. A concern, but I'll get back to that because that may be a swayed following how things go. But we've got some more first round matches tonight. The final of this tournament, the men's tournament and the women's tournament, are both going to be at Double or Nothing. So the first round matches we have remaining are as follows. Rey Fenix v Kyle O'Reilly, which I'm sure is going to be good fun. And then we have Samoa Joe versus a Joker, i.e. a mystery opponent. There could be a lot of people. It could be a new debut. There's already a couple of people. I'm thinking if it was one of them, that'd be pretty damn cool. There's also a few people who could maybe return from having been out for a while, which would be really cool.
I think from a storytelling perspective, if you really, really want to have a good storytelling perspective here, Joker's Kenny Omega. If he was fit, and obviously it's not boy he's fit or anything like that, but in a Booker's world, it's Kenny Omega, and then you have potentially as your final Adam Cole versus Kenny Omega.
Yeah. Now you mention that,
it sounds good. It won't happen, but it sounds good.
Yeah, I think that's something they're going to want to like almost have way more build up to, because you've got the whole elite thing, which we'll get onto.
I'm kind of thinking who from a free contract standpoint would make a good Joker, because we still, I mean, Cesaro is on.
Johnny Gargano, another one.
Yeah. Gargano's a good. Gargano's.
I know, right? I know, right?
However,
If it's not going to be a new debut, I think Samoa Joe v Miro would be freaking great.
Yes, and Miro wins it all. Get him back up to being the redeemer. Get him redeemed. Redeem the Miro.
Give him the TNT title again, please.
Redeem him. No, I like that. I think if we're looking at the people who have been announced, final, I could see Joe versus Cole.
I think in a weird way, from a storytelling perspective, Kyle O'Reilly v Adam Cole would be very unique. There is part of me though that really wants to see Rey Fénix and Adam Cole.
I'm gonna be negative on the O'Reilly and Cole thing. It says we had that for a good period of time in NXT. It doesn't need to be done again.
I genuinely forgotten that. Fair point. I agree.
Yes, they had good matches and they were fun matches, but I think we're all a bit. I think O'Reilly and Cole would be a bit confused and were told, "You're going to fight again." What again?
You've had more than one cake.
Is this another unsanctioned match? Do I need to put him through the stage again? No. All right.
See, it's funny you mentioned unsanctioned match. I'll mention this as just a quick point. So, when it comes to this tournament, I said to you a good few weeks ago now on the podcast that I was convinced that this tournament is effectively going to be kept pure. Like, everything's going to happen in the ring, as it were, and there isn't going to be any, like, skullduggery and such. But I will say, Jeff Hardy and Darby Allin being what it was, there was part of me that thought, I get why this match is like this, because it's an insane spectacle. But there is a part of me that's like, I kind of just wanted a straight up tournament. Like, I don't imagine Owen Hart would have jumped off of a ladder into a pile of chairs, for example.
You know who would make a good Joker for the men's? Just briefly, Gresham.
Is he injured? Because I want to say...
I'm not sure.
Because it wasn't he the Progress champion? I think he's no longer the Progress champion now.
Hang on.
I'll let you look that up. Just to
I will check, but it's like part of it. I might not realize.
No, I don't know either, to be fair. But no, Gresham would be great, and then we would get... But then that would mean we get ROH champion versus ROH TV champion.
I'm having a quick look.
That's cool. I mean, hey, you know what? If we're going to have a completely new debut, Bandido would be a pretty good shout as well, if you're not seeing him before. That would be a
good. Come back to me on Gresham.
Not a problem. So the women's tournament, first round matches that are remaining are going to be Britt Baker versus a Joker. And then we've got Red Velvet v Chris Statlander. Statlander is replacing Hikaru Shida. There's a bit of I won't say a brouhaha. There has been, quote unquote, confusion as to why Shida has been replaced. We could probably touch on that another time.
Just briefly, I've just read an article from Cultaholic just to double check. Gresham was stripped of the Progress World title in a storyline element, I suppose. There's no reference that he's injured.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Good.
So good possibility.
There you go. And then
ladies.
Yes, and in the semi-finals that we have got lined up, it's going to be Toni Storm versus the winner of Britt Baker and the Joker match. Then it'll be Ruby Soho versus the winner of Velvet and Chris Statlander. So a female Joker. Who could it be? Now, again, it doesn't have to be a new debut.
No. I mean, in terms of is anyone injured from the women's side? I can't think of any.
Just trying to think off the top of my head. I know Britt Baker's only recently now recovered from her very long sort of broken wrist. I mean, I can't think of anyone off the top of my head. I might just be... I mean, actually, I think Layla Hirsch is injured, if memory serves. Because she was in a bit of a storyline and then got injured. But yeah, if it's going to be a new debut, just to get onto that side of things, in a perfect world, but I'm not expecting, given that she only gave birth literally a couple of months ago, Candice LeRae.
Yeah. That would be a good debut as well. Again, I don't think it's happening because of the baby. To be quite honest.
But the other person that is a very likely candidate. Now, I want to say Mia Yim may have just signed with Impact, so I'm not sure if she is available. But Another obvious one is the former Ember Moon, whose name escapes me off the top of my head. I want to say it's Athena. Yeah.
Athena.
Yeah. That would also be another one if we're going to get a new debut.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think both Jokers will be new debuts, though. I honestly don't.
Or it could just be a visiting star from Impact. I mean, we've had people from Impact popping by recently. We've had W. Morrissey against Wardlow. So, it could be building for a Forbidden Door.
Yeah, it could very well be someone from Stardom or Tokyo Joshi Pro, because there's loads of great Japanese talent. Also, watch the Riho v Yuka Sakazaki match from Rampage about a week or so ago. It was great. Also, shout out to Riho when she had her match against Ruby Soho on Rampage in the tournament, because when Ruby got in the ring and she started headbanging, I think I shared a gif of it, but it's a wonderful moment where Riho just starts plugging her ears going, "No, don't like this music. No." It's awesome.
So who do you think what would be the potential final from the women's tournament?
See, to me, logic would say it's going to be Britt Baker versus either it'd be Britt Baker versus Ruby, I guess, because it would link back to the match at the Dynamite Grand Slam, and then Ruby finally getting the win. That's what it says to me. But
there's a possibility.
Out of those people, I wouldn't mind Tony winning it.
I think Tony's a strong shot of winning it. Tony's a very good strong shot of winning it. I wouldn't be opposed to Baker versus Ruby, but I don't know. It's I don't know. It's a matchup. We've seen the matchup, but I don't know how it would be special. This is me kind of engaging with the product. So it's not me saying it's a terrible idea. It's just I'm not excited for that idea, to be perfectly honest.
This is where things are at. Like, personally, I think Britt Baker recently, I'm not enamored with her. I don't know why. There's just something about, I don't know whether it's because she's just not the champion now, but it just feels like a bit of a star is currently, like some of the sparkle that there was with Britt. It's not there at the moment.
I think the thing is, AEW went big with Baker.
They
rightly did, but we talked about this, and I really don't want to keep repeating things, but it's like I feel like the Baker run was kind of hampered by some really weird booking and storyline progression, and it just fizzled out. So I don't know. I mean, by all means, they can get things back on track. They can do. It's like this is never against the talent, but it's just. Yeah, I'm not that. As a wrestling fan, I'm not that excited when I hear Britt Baker's name right now. And that's just me. I mean, that's a completely different story to other things, and that's perfectly fine. But it's just
the way that the dice. To use a casino-based analogy, given it's double or nothing, it's just the way currently the dice are rolled. There you go. Next up, MJF versus Wardlow, and this is pending. This is following on from the contract signing segment. Have you seen the contract signing segment from Dynamite?
I need to watch it properly. I'm aware of what the stipulations are again. I think he's getting whipped. It's like Wardlow has to be whipped again.
It's a callback to Cody. So it's the 10 lashings, and then he's got to go in a cage match against Sean Spears, but with MJF as ref.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So that's going to be the next 2 weeks leading to the match. But this segment, it's probably one of the best segments ever in AEW. Because they're in Long Island, so MJF is being babyface, but he's being heelish babyface. So he's doing stuff like, I love Long Island. Even all you people up there in the cheap seats, you're still great, but you're in the cheap seats. just wonderful digs. And they did like a Dark Side of the Ring style teaser about MJF's career. And then Jericho was like narrating it, but even he went, wait a minute, why am I narrating this? I hate this guy. Wait, he's paying us how much? Okay, sure thing, I'll do it. And they were getting like Taz to comment about Long Island when he's from Brooklyn and stuff. And they even got freaking Barry Horowitz, and he was labeled as like legendary Jewish wrestler Barry Horowitz to give comments about MJF. This Dark Side of the Ring segment, like promo, was a masterpiece of propaganda. It was so good. And just everything about this segment was fantastic. Go out. If you watch one thing from Dynamite last week, watch this segment. It's so good.
I will probably try and get that under my belt before the pay-per-view comes around. Oh yeah, we have a strange new pairing.
Mate, this is great. In the pre-show, we're going to have Tony Nese and Mark Sterling against Hookhausen. Danhausen and Hook. Danhausen had his in-ring debut on Dynamite last week, and he lost in 5 seconds. It was great. He came out with really wacky, creepy music, had a whole entrance thing going. Everyone was really excited, and then he lost, and everyone was like, wait, what? It was so good. And Hook came out, shook his hand, and now we've got the team of Hookhausen. It's so good.
I mean, you know, things will go terribly well if Hook is face painted up like Danhausen. Double or Nothing.
The thing is that the way this is built up, though, it's like Danhausen's been trying to get Hook to team with him, and there was a point a week or two ago where he couldn't get through to Hook, and so he left him a parting gift. A packet of crisps with a little bow on them as well in the middle of the ring. And there was a moment where Hook picked it up and had that look of, oh, you didn't have to get me a bag of crisps. And then he just put it back down and walked away, and everyone went, no!
Just going slightly off topic, still on Danhausen. Did you see the Danhausen cursing William Regal a couple of weeks ago? It's one where it's like, I curse you. And he's going, no, you take that curse back.
It was the after the show, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, it's such a fun video. Such good fun.
It's like, let's bring out the hometown hero. No, not you. Let's bring out the hometown hero. Come back, Hook.
So, other potential matches based on recent happenings on TV. Hardy Boys and Young Bucks has been teased. I won't say heavily, but it's certainly been hinted at. AEW tag team titles, it's looking like it's going to be a 3-way now, which is not what you would have expected a little while ago. But Jurassic Express defending against Ricky Starks and Powerhouse Hobbs, and then Strickland and Keith Lee, who in and of themselves are a great tag team.
I'm kind of thinking it's like they're pulling the trigger on Christian turning on them soon, aren't they? On Jurassic so I would not be surprised if this is where Express lose the belts.
Yeah,
if they are defending that at Double or Nothing.
As for which team takes them, I mean, honestly, it's a pick'em. You could say either and it would be great. I'm inclined to say it would be Starks and Hobbs.
Okay.
Because I just get the feeling that them having the belts...
It works with their feud with Swerve and Lee, so...
Yeah. Now, okay, the TNT title picture. There's not going to be a TNT title match, most likely, at this pay-per-view. We've had this proposed mixed tag match involving Paige Van Zandt and Ty Conti. Ian, are you aware, and I'm saying this as someone who is like a big AEW fan, are you aware how, what's the best way to put this? How bad this has been?
I mean, I haven't really been paying attention to it, but I am aware of it not really kind of being thrilling, to be honest.
So I'll try and sum this up as quick as I can. I'm literally going to put myself on like a timer. So Guevara was the TNT champion, had the ladder match, lost it to Scorpio Sky. At this point, the pairing of Ty and Sammy and then Scorpio Sky, or like the dynamic was Sammy and Ty a heel, Sky kind of becoming a babyface, but still being aligned with the heel men of the year. Been more dissension in the ranks since he won the title, but Scorpio Sky wants to make the title legitimate, as it were. So it's kind of gradually turning babyface. We're getting some dissension in the ranks. Pardon me, hit my microphone. And then, excuse me, this leads to Kazarian wanting a match against Scorpio Sky. Or sorry, it was actually Kazarian wanting the match against Sammy, which Sky then went, look, we used to be in SCU, used to be the tag champs, we know each other. Let me have this match. You'll get the first shot, I promise. Kaz, being the honorable guy he is, gives him the shot, lets him have it. Sky wins the belt. He asks for the match. We then get to this one-on-one match they have. And obviously, effectively face versus face. But before the match, and it may have actually been on Dynamite, Sammy effectively tells Kazarian, look, not being funny, don't trust Dan Lambert and his goons. And Sammy Guevara goes, yeah. Oh, sorry, and then Kaz effectively goes, yeah, that's rich coming from you, isn't it? By the way, your vlog sucks. And then this leads to the one-on-one match between Sky and Kazarian on Rampage. Really fun match, really solid match. Ultimately, Ethan Page and Dan Lambert come down after they were told to stay in the back by Sky. Ethan Page attacks Kaz with the belt, leading to Scorpio Sky getting the win. And then we're getting the moment in the ring of, what the heck did you do that for? I didn't want that. Ah, come here, you big hug. And it was all a ruse. So Sky is now full-blown face again. They've said this was our plan all along. And then Sammy Guevara and Ty come out to try and help defend Kaz and kind of are now against the Men of the Year and have pseudo again turned babyface, which no one wants.
What?
Yeah, literally. So logic would dictate we're probably going to get the mixed tag match of someone from Men of the Year and Paige Van Zandt against Sammy and Ty. But Sammy apparently is injured after that ridiculous ladder bump spot he took a few weeks ago.
That was painful.
So one would assume we may now get a 6-man tag match if you put Kazarian with Sammy, who he doesn't like, and then Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky being with Paige Van Zandt. This TNT title picture, I was well up for Scorpio Sky being the babyface because he works so well as a babyface. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt to turn this around. I'm not liking where this is going right now.
I'm not, again, how you described it, I'm not really that enamored with it, to be honest. it just seems like well, they've tried to flip characters based on how audiences are reacting to a degree. Originally that's more towards Sammy and Ty, or Tay, sorry. Again, it's just like, well, if this is where Paige Van Zandt makes a debut, then their team's winning. There's no way you debut someone with a sports background like Paige Van Zandt and then you lose. It's not happening. It will be amazing. It will be amazingly bad if they did, but I don't know. It's just, it just feels like this is entirely throwaway until they can get some semblance of a structured order of feuds for TNT. I don't know. I as you can tell from me responding, I really don't care.
I mean, put it this way, you're as confused as you were before I told you what's happened.
Pretty much.
Yeah, it's been very difficult to keep track of and just knowing who to root for, which, quite frankly, when you turn the Men of the Year, which includes Dan Lambert, babyface, and it works because no one likes the pairing of Sammy Guevara and Ty Conti, go with the flow. But again, I will give the benefit of the doubt because more often than not, AEW can turn this kind of stuff around. They've got a good track record for doing it.
They can.
Then the Jericho Appreciation Society versus the world, as I'm calling it. Because it is going to be now the JAS versus Santana and Ortiz, Eddie Kingston, and from the Blackpool Combat Club, Bryan Danielson and Jon Moxley, most likely in a 10-man tag match. On the segment on Dynamite, when the JAS was celebrating, when it was like, who the heck else is going to stand up or whatever the line was, and you suddenly heard the music for Jon Moxley begin, you just heard everyone go, oh! And it was, everyone knew exactly where it was going. It makes complete sense because he's good friends with Kingston. He hates sports entertainers, and it's going to be freaking great. I can't wait for this. And also, we saw Regal punch Jericho, and they're having a face-to-face tonight on Dynamite.
Yay! Good old William. Just getting stuck in, lads. Getting stuck in.
It'll be so good.
I can imagine this will be like a nice summer feud because we're moving into the summer now of AEW. So I think this will be a feud that carries on through the summer and it will end in blood and guts. I can't see this ending any other way. And
as long as Jericho doesn't nearly perish from it again, we'll be fine.
Or land on cardboard boxes. Oh, well, obviously, needs to be safe. But obviously, if the cameras would not show the cardboard boxes,
it's a TNA moment. It happens to everyone.
It's perfect. It's like Kurt Angle not really pinning Jeff Hardy at a TNA event. Who knows?
But either way, though, Double or Nothing once again is shaping up to be a monster of an event. It's going to be a good one.
Mm-hmm.
I still argue there's potentially far too many matches like there are on most AEW pay-per-views.
Yeah.
And it's just going to be a question of who's going to one-up each other. But you know what? I'd much rather it be that on paper than perhaps going into an event thinking, okay, I'll watch it.
Yeah.
Which you could say was the case for Wrestlemania Backlash.
But before we get to WrestleMania Backlash, Jeremy, I need to check the countdown to Cody. All right, I'll stop it. All right, I'll stop it. I'll stop it. I'll stop it. Where's the button? There it is. Yes.
I mean,
that's
Cody Rhodes
countdown to Cody.
Cody Rhodes was at WrestleMania Backlash.
He was. Do you know about the whole countdown to Cody thing on Raw?
I'm aware that this was happening. I don't know the full context. I just know there was a countdown.
So basically, WWE are under the impression at the moment that Cody's a big deal. It draws big numbers, which, to be honest, Cody has still been treated like a big deal at the moment. So therefore, we got to get people excited about Cody. How do we do this? With a countdown clock before we set off all the pyro. There's been a really good tweet from Kevin Owens saying, I want pyro too. And it's just him in the ring holding his Universal title with like in the background. I think from Sid, Sid had his sort of Sid. It just says bulls.
But I can't wait for our Cody Rhodes v Kevin Owens feud. I can't wait.
It's gonna be amazing. But yes. So WrestleMania Backlash. It was a night of decent, really good wrestling.
It's a decent show.
In some cases, really fun wrestling. But a lot of it is throwaway tat. Is what I'm gonna say.
Yeah, a decent amount felt inconsequential, but for the most part, it was a decent show.
Yeah, I think Cody versus Seth 2 was really, really good. And the fact is, they were able to tell it. They were telling a nice story as well. And obviously, at WrestleMania and Seth going, you were surprised. I know nothing about you. And then he's going, I've planned for this. And all this sort of time. So you have this sort of, again, it goes up into crazy one-upmanship of crazy, which should be finish moves, but doesn't finish the match, or trying to do a crossroads, or trying to do the stomp or the pedigree or stuff like that. I think the pedigree actually did happen, but it ended in a 2 count, and then ultimately ended with just the pulling of the tights because Seth.
Which I gotta say was a weird finish,
but in terms of how they were kind of doing one-upping each other and trying to kind of resort to every tactic, it's basically Cody uses Seth's move against him. That's all right from a storytelling perspective.
And also in terms of how do you justify a third match? Like, unfortunately, that is it. I didn't expect the escalation to be Hell in a Cell, but
it's like, well, WrestleMania match, fine match, competitive match at Backlash. Why not? Let's just go straight to hell. Fine. It's not like it's Seth's second Hell in a Cell match in a year as well. He did it at Crown Jewel last year against Edge.
Oh, that's why I don't remember it, because it was at Crown Jewel. Sorry, I was like, when?
But again, that match with Edge was very, very good. So it's like, yes, there are issues with the Crown Jewel show, but that was a very damn good match. So it's probably going to be the main event of Hell in a Cell, to be totally honest. And I wouldn't be opposed to that.
No,
I still think the Cody train is still rolling, and I think it's going to be a whitewash. I think Cody wins in the Cell. Because if you really try, because it can, it nicely moves on to one of the other stories that's kind of happened before the whole Sasha and Naomi thing came in. But in general, in terms of the rest of the show, I liked Ronda versus Charlotte.
Agreed. I thought it was really good.
I think that was much better than the WrestleMania match. I thought it was really, really fun. It used the stipulation well. And yeah, Ronda wins the belt. And she actually had, if you haven't seen it on SmackDown, she has a really good match with Raquel Rodriguez, formerly Gonzalez, in an open challenge, which is cool. So it's like, I'm okay with this. It's like if we're going in the direction of like having random open challenges and stuff like that, just to keep Ronda on the show and with the belt for a while, that's fine. That's fine.
And also, I've got to say, the way that they emphasized that Charlotte had been injured, I thought was very well done. When they had like the little backstage segment, and I can't remember what the exact phrasing was. They effectively used a really fancy way of saying it's a broken arm. and then they got Pat McAfee, the professional sportsman, to explain how your arm turns and stuff like that, and where like it's fractured. It was very well done. That said, Pat McAfee had a bit of a goof on this show that got people talking on Twitter, because did you hear the random line when he went, "Is that the Fiend in the front row?"
Oh, yes. It's like, don't say that. But the fact is, the child was wearing the mask. It's like, what else are you going to do? I mean, I'm sure it's not an uber bad thing. I'm sure it's fine.
I mean, when it's someone who you fired nearly a year ago, I don't know, but debate for another time. But the main event 6-man tag, though, very, very good fun.
Started slow and then just escalated. And Randall Keith Orton, the audacity of the RKO on the Superman punch. It's just, I had to rewatch that several times. It's the sheer balls of it. And then he gets super kicked. He stands there going, okay, you as well. It's like, this is weird. I've never seen Randy Orton this over. And then this, it's insane, but it's so much fun. And again, he's on some of his promos, especially last SmackDown when he was trying to get the Usos to do the tag title unification match at long last. And he talks about John Cena being the better champion than Reigns, and then for no reason he just goes to one of the Usos. Hey, I've just noticed I'm taller than you, and just happily bobs and weaves around the madness. It's
good fun. The one thing that is really confusing about this match, though, is at this point, like, who is going to challenge Roman next? Because in this match, you could very easily have set up a match between him and Orton, which people would have been nuts over.
I think over the summer, you've got free challenges really much there. Say tag title unification happens on SmackDown this Friday. Say Roman gets involved. Whoever he screws over, they'll get a match against him, maybe at Money at the Bank.
Speaking of which, why is this match happening on SmackDown?
Don't know. Absolutely don't know. So yeah, so you could do one of RK Bro against Orton. Against Reigns at Money in the Bank. Mm-hmm. And then, as for revenge, the other partner gets a shot at SummerSlam. Again, you build on the, and then when you get to Clash at the Castle, you got Drew.
Well,
I say in my logic and in my logic as a
booker. Your logic makes total sense. But let's put a pin on that, because there is potentially already a wrinkle with that, with something else that has occurred recently.
Oh yeah, so Roman's new contract. So a little bit of a big sort of confusion spell began over a week or so ago. Basically, Roman has signed a new WWE deal, which is not surprising.
Fair play.
But it does now mean it is kind of now reported that he has less dates. So it's not like a Brock Lesnar contract, but it's edging towards a Brock Lesnar contract.
It's Brock Lesnar-esque.
Yes, Brock-esque less. And apart from the big stadium shows, there's reason to suggest that he won't be doing much other wrestling until those big shows. So if you're expecting to see him at Hell in a Cell, nope. It's not. It might not. He's not advertised for it, apparently. And Cody is front and center in the poster. So it kind of feels like
also he did the advert for it, because they played that on the Backlash.
Oh yeah, he did the advert for Money in the Bank, didn't he, Cody? Mm-hmm. With a weird stipulation about the winner gets a guaranteed Mania shot, which I think people are still confused. People are still confused about, and we'll probably get an idea of what it actually means. It's either the same Money in the Bank stuff or something's changed. We don't know. We'll find out. Never mind. So yeah, it's obviously with Roman and his popularity, I get it. I get the contract side of things. I don't know if it will force WWE's hand to kind of push another champion. I mean, the fact of the matter is, Reigns is still going to be keeping one of those belts for a long time. If he's dropping any of them, he'll probably drop the WWE Championship at some point. But again, he might not even drop. They might not do it like it's a 2 separate belt thing. I don't know.
I think he'll just defend it as one, because they're going to unify them at this point. Because when it comes to when Becky won both belts, did they specifically call her a special unified term for champions?
No, they called her. I think they called her an undisputed champion, but she still defended the belt separately. So I think at that following that year's,
it might have been Money in the Bank, actually, mightn't it?
Might have been at Money in the Bank or SummerSlam. She lost one of those belts to someone. I think she lost one of the belts to us.
I want to say she faced Lacey Evans in one of the matches. I seem to recall.
Yeah, there was the whole thing of against Lacey Evans and Baron. I'm not sure. I need to go back. My WWE memories.
By the way, it happened because we remember something happened.
So, and it's like when Rollins won the United States and was WWE champion at Clash of Champions. He fought John Cena, and then straight after he went face Sting. So I could imagine if we go to Money in the Bank, Cody, who will probably win it. I would be surprised if he doesn't, but I suspect he will win it, or he'll go via Rumble route. I can imagine Cody coming out and saying, I want to cash this in, but I don't want the Universal title. I want your WWE title because that's the title my family's never had.
The one that has lineage.
Yeah, the one that's respected, and then he wins it, and then he can bring back the Golden Eagle one because he's talked about bringing back classic designs. It's like, yes, give Cody.
That's what he does.
Yep, which is cool. And it's like, again, it's like I'm still enjoying Cody on WWE at the moment. It's just I don't know. He just seems more fit. He seems more of a fit.
He comes across like a big time deal. Which when WWE wants someone to be that way, they do a very good job of making them appear that way.
Yeah, and with the whole sort of Reigns not resting a lot over the summer, Cody's the perfect person to go, here, have a ball, run. Or basically, you've got talents there. You've still got RK Bro doing very, very well. You still got Drew. You still got Cody. Even Zayn and KO are doing good stuff, even though it's weird. I mean, there's a nice little small story running with Sami Zayn trying to kind of be part of the bloodline or trying to snitch on people to kind of worm his way in. Imagine in maybe his time, Sami Zayn's the one to end the reign.
You see, first of all, great idea.
I think that would be amazing, but it won't happen.
I still think Roman is just keeping this belt until at least Rumble next year at the earliest. What I would actually, they won't do this because it's not their idea, but I think almost having a recurring storyline where whenever Roman's going to next defend the belt or appear, you effectively have to have like a mini tournament to kind of get people to be the one to earn the right to challenge him. But you can do it in the form of like a trophy that someone has to be like defending, like the right to challenge the tribal chief trophy or something. So there's got to be some kind of like rite of passage or something. I don't know, something random like that can be emphasized with an appalling looking AR graphic.
That seems a lot more plausible than what WWE will actually come up with.
Exactly right. So go on.
No, sorry, carry on.
I was going to say, so we've mentioned it in passing. Let's get onto this now. Clash at the Castle. It is taking place in Cardiff, Wales, in September. This is if you're watching the video version live with us, you can see the poster on the screen just now. I think it looks pretty cool, I've got to say. By WWE poster standards, it's actually fairly dynamic.
It's all right. I'm going to bring it back on screen. So for audio listeners, it's Drew McIntyre right up front with a sword. Inside the sword are the souls of Becky Lynch, Cody Rhodes, Edge, Bianca Belair, and Seth Rollins. And over his shoulder, ready to do a Superman punch in front of a Welsh castle, is Roman Reigns going, ooh, ah, all that sort of stuff.
I'm imagining he's going to be jumping from the Superman punch from that castle to inside the Principality Stadium.
Yes, book it, Vince. It's like, the post is all right. The post is very kind of like, it reminds me of early naughty sort of pay-per-view posters.
Yeah, it's got a particular aesthetic to it.
Yes. I think Clash at the Castle's a shit title.
Oh, it's awful, especially when it's in a stadium.
Just call it Clash of Champions. What is the wrong? It's there. It's Harry. It would count as a big show in the UK. You're taking an established pay-per-view name and you're taking it to England. That's fine. Don't sully up by going, it's like, there's a castle. It's a clash at a castle. No, Vince. You're not anywhere near the castle. Stop it, Vince.
So can I give a theory as to why it's called this?
Because Vince saw a castle and he really likes castles all of a sudden.
Can I give another theory as to why I think
Vince watched a film about castles? He watched Braveheart and thought Braveheart was in Wales.
Or Edge told him to watch Vikings and he saw a castle and that was
no. He saw Edge and Christian in Highlander Endgame.
That's a cool one. Bloody hell.
Yeah.
So the problem we've got is if you call it Clash of Champions, Clash of the Champions, the problem we've got at the moment is there ain't going to be many champions who can face each other.
Well, it's not. Clash of Champions is not. No, that's Survivor Series, Jeremy. That's the one time of the year the champions go up against each other. But at Clash of Champions, it's champions defending their belts against all challengers and that sort of thing. So there was.
So it's not Clash of the Champions.
Yes,
just Clash of Champions.
Yes. Yes.
This shouldn't be this difficult.
I mean, it should be easy for WWE to come up with a show name, but no, they had it perfectly there on a platter, but they got described as I want a castle.
I mean, look, they had Judgment Day as a name of an event. They've now given it to a team, which is cool, and now Rhea Ripley's part of it, and it works perfectly.
Yes, and there better be a Judgment Day pay-per-view or premium live event coming up soon. Otherwise, I will be annoyed, because that's perfect brand synergy right there.
Of all the time,
it could be done. Edge on his motorized chair could sit from the rafters, going, "Yes, that's right. Fight for the mountain of omnipotence."
I look forward to them. Do you know what? Oh, I don't know why I've said this now.
I can book this shit better.
There will be a match at some point that will have the word omnipotence in it. It might be like the ladder, the road to omnipotence.
It's the omnipotence ladder match. Climb the ladder of omnipotence to grab the fabled Book of Dreams. Which is just, I don't know, it's Edge's version of the Necronomicon from Evil Dead. I don't know.
Or Edge's new haircut. I don't know. Take your pick.
Yeah, he's permitted to take his haircut. Yeah. He's allowed to.
So
Clash of the Castle. Yeah.
So another interesting detail about this, which obviously WWE haven't talked about yet, but Drew has acknowledged in and of himself. Boxer Tyson Fury. He recently had the ridiculously well-attended Wembley Stadium match. I don't know who it was against. I'm not a boxing fan. But in the post-fight press conference, someone brought up, probably a plant, that, any chance of you doing stuff with WWE again? And he basically all but said yes. To which I think he specifically referenced Drew McIntyre in his answer.
Yeah.
And so logic would dictate that at Clash at the Castle, we're probably going to have, in some way, shape, or form, Drew versus Tyson Fury. Which, from a UK drawing box office point of view, from a casual fan point of view, it makes a lot of sense in the world.
It does. Will it be good? Fuck no.
The forbidden door of Ian's swear jar has been unlocked.
You're allowed one.
So, either way. All right, so there's that point. The other detail is that pre-sale ticket sales began today, didn't they?
Yes, and I had a little look because I was thinking, I'll just check, just in case you never know. There's some nice price tickets because tickets were starting from about 30 quid. So
that gets you like the nosebleed seat, basically.
Yeah, that's fine. It's like for me, the idea of if I was to go, I wouldn't mind as long as I had a decent view of the ring and I was able to soak in the atmosphere. I think that's the most important thing I really kind of wanted to kind of potentially do if I ever went to a stadium show is basically I just want to have a good time and be part of the environment, be part of the atmosphere. Yeah. So I had a look at work today. I got my little pre-code Clash, put it into Ticketmaster.
Is that what it was?
Yeah. Such ingenious work, Ticketmaster. Well, it might be WWE. So and then basically I went, I would like to find, and I selected the cheap tickets, and I went, I want 30, it's like 33 or 60. Show them what's available. We have found you 2 tickets for £225 each.
What?
No, I want cheap. No, we have found you tickets for £225 each. That's not what I wanted. Would you like £450 seats? No. I think a lot of people are trying to be sensible.
Because people will be holding up signs. Don't get floor seats in stadium shows, people. This is word of advice.
Yeah. So, yeah, that ain't happening.
So I guess the question is, though, were those tickets sold in the pre-sale, or have they literally just been kept back until the general sale?
I don't know. I generally don't know, because sometimes pre-sale means I'm not an I rarely sort of try and battle Ticketmaster to buy stuff. I mean, the last time I booked tickets for a WWE show, I think was for NXT Cardiff, actually. And surprisingly not, I got some I think I was 3-4 rows from the ring, which was fine. But then again, not many people were into NXT UK at the time. So it was kind of like, you just go, if you're there like the moment they won't sell, you could get seats. It's fine. In that sort of way. I think regardless, I think it'll be a fun event, especially for a UK crowd. I think it'll be fun. We'll see how the card pans out. But I think all I would like is good wrestling and sensible storytelling.
Oh,
I know
Iain,
half of that.
You've jinxed it now.
I know half of that is only going to come true, and that is the sensible storytelling. Jeremy has just risen his eyebrow at me, and I don't think he liked that thought.
I mean, I admire your optimism.
No, it's going to be a 2-hour salute. It's going to be a 2 or 3 hour salute to a British wrestling star who is still with us, and they won't turn up.
How much do you want to bet? How much do you want to bet there will, in some way, shape, or form, be a dragon and or a sheep involved in this show?
Oh, they'll just call up Ilya Dragunov just to say he's got dragon in the name. He's not even Welsh, but he's got dragon in the name.
From Cardiff. From Cardiff, by way of Russia.
It's like Igor. Igor Dragon Man.
God, I mean, either way, from a spectacle point of view, it's going to be something special. It's like part of me is interested in going, but honestly, I think if I'm going to do it, I'd much rather just, like, go into like a big pub or something and just watch it in there with a bunch of people.
I mean, I was kind of thinking that as well, but hotel prices around Cardiff at the moment are ridiculously expensive. And it's kind of
we even just try and make a big day trip of it or something.
Yeah, the nice thing is it's a UK show, which means sensible times for the WWE Network viewers or BT Sport box office. That means.
You know what has actually been, quick side tangent, you know what has been fun the past couple of weeks of Rampage? The fact that from a UK time slot point of view, because it's been earlier in America, the show's aired at like 10:30 p.m. It's been great.
Nice. Lovely. See,
great.
It's like I think when the clocks come forward, everything starts at midnight. When the clocks go back, everything starts at 1 a.m.
Yeah, it's that little bit of a difference. It just goes a long way.
Yeah. Yeah, so we've got about 7 minutes left of the show.
Yeah, so
WWE in the nutshell at the moment. Hell in a Cell is happening. We've got Cody versus Seth Free, should be fun. Becky versus Bianca versus Asuka, again, should be a good match. Nothing else has been announced. Tag team belts are being unified on Friday at SmackDown. Part of me thinks, and this is me wanting to do some happy Iain booking here. I generally would not like the match to actually have a finish on Friday. I want them in Hell in a Cell. I want them in the cage. Because Usos had a really good Hell in a Cell against New Day at Hell in a Cell.
Mm-hmm.
So I think with an on-fire RK Bro, they can have an absolute brawl and it will be fun. RKOs for everyone. Everyone wins.
Everybody gets an RKO.
Hey, you get an RKO. Oh god, even what was it? Riddle's RKO on
the top rope, whatever it was.
On Montez Ford. Montez Ford does his giant big splash. Riddle hits him with an RKO.
When RK Bro break up, it will happen one day.
and we'll be
It is
sad.
going to be the hottest feud in WWE.
But it's like it'll be the battle of the RKOs. Is it the Riddle knockout or the Orton knockout? Or the Randy knockout? I don't know.
Maybe I'll have like a battle of the O.
Why can't they each win the world championship? Randy can win the WWE championship because then it helps him with his tally. And Riddle can win the Universal Champion. And they can have all the belts. Give them all the belts. If Roman can have all the belts, why can't they have all the belts? It'd be fun. Think of the anarchy it would happen.
Good use of the word anarchy. I like it. And you know what does sometimes cause anarchy as well is sometimes when you travel around the world and you get some interesting bits of news you perhaps weren't expecting, but it certainly raises an eyebrow because where are we going, Ian?
We're going around the world of wrestling.
So there's two bits of things to mention. I'll do the second one we were going to mention first of all because I think it's the easier one to quickly touch on. Wheeler Yuta is currently competing in New Japan's Best of the Super Juniors tournament, which is really cool. So he won't be on Dynamite for a few weeks. Now, potential mild spoiler if you've not seen the recent New Japan shows. I haven't, but I'm at least vaguely aware of this. Robbie Eagles, I believe, defeated Yuta in the tournament and seemingly in his post-match interview basically demanded a shot for the Pure Championship because he's pinned the champion. So we could well have one of our Forbidden Door matches now in the works, which is pretty cool. It'll be a really good match. Robbie Eagles is a really good wrestler. So there's a random bit.
Should be fun.
The other interesting thing, if in my 22 prognostication brain, you'd have said to me, Ric Flair's going to have one more match this year. Given what he has been through, let alone what's been said about him, / what information has come out about him in recent times, I wouldn't have put this on the cards for this year. Apparently, it's going to happen later this year. I think it's during SummerSlam weekend.
July 31st. So, Rick's been training for an in-ring return. He's 73. He's going to do it at an independent wrestling event from the Nashville Fairgrounds, billed as a Jim Crockett Promotions. The event, Ric Flair's last match, will be produced by Fusio, a Triller company, and air on Fight. Basically, I think it's supposed to be I think he wanted it to be like a tag match or something, and I think they were trying to get Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, or Ricky
who
Steamboat
apparently has declined to be part of it.
He said, haha, no.
Yeah, I mean, there have been rumors that maybe FTR would be involved, which would make sense in some ways.
Yeah.
But I think also this is a Conrad Thompson production as well, I think, from like ad-free show fame and whatnot. So, so it will be interesting to see how this works out. They've also announced a roast of Ric Flair to take place the same weekend. And I'm sure some people have got stories for him, depending who they get. This is the thing, right? Ric Flair undoubtedly probably had one of, if not the greatest wrestling retirements you could ever dream of for a career. Regardless whether he ultimately wanted it then or not, it was absolutely perfect. The aftermath on Raw the next night with everyone coming out, the reuniting of the Horsemen, the whole Leave the Memories Alone song, everything about it was freaking perfect. Yeah. Then he had a match in TNA. And it's just, I mean this with all due respect, I don't want to see Ric Flair in another match. Partly because he nearly died last year. Literally. He was all but, if I recall correctly, he was all but on his freaking deathbed, pretty much.
Yeah. It's just, it's like, I can imagine it. I can see it obviously being a thing just obviously stay relevant in the world of wrestling, and I get that, but I'm not going out my way to watch this. It just feels like Ric Flair is trying to show that he's still Ric Flair. It's like, we know you're Ric Flair. Yeah, we always know you're Ric Flair. Just stop doing wrestling now and just take retirement with grace, please.
Yeah, I mean, in a weird sort of way, knowing what the match is going to be will be the real tell-all.
Yeah.
If it's going to be something where people are like, that's it? then it's not going to go down well. Also, from what I have heard as well, the Nashville Fairgrounds, I want to say, is where TNA used to run. Like, that's their original, like, asylum venue, which also, from what I've heard anecdotally and sort of listening to your old other podcasts and stuff, apparently is a bit of a dump. I don't know that for a fact, but apparently it's not the greatest venue in the world. So, yeah, I mean, obviously I wish nothing but the best in this endeavor, but based on recent things that have occurred, both to him in his health and things that have come out about him in documentaries and such and other stories that have come to light, probably not something you should be doing, quite frankly.
Probably not, no. Probably not.
And you can 1,000,000% bet WWE ain't having squat to do with this.
Pretty much.
Yeah. So no doubt in the coming weeks on podcast, we will update if needed, if it's something worth noting. But yeah, I don't have any intention of watching this. Not out of any disrespect. It's just I don't want to watch it.
Fair enough. I mean, if something massive happens, we'll find out, but business as usual for everyone else, I suppose.
Exactly. So with that being said, sir, I think it is time to wrap up the show. All going well, everybody. Our next BunkaMania podcast will be live on June the 1st, when we will be talking about AEW's Double or Nothing, and no doubt some other complete randomness that's happened in the world of wrestling that no one expected, because not a day goes by when something doesn't happen. And good sir, how can people get in touch with us if they would like to do so in the coming weeks and months?
Well, if you would like to send through your thoughts about Double or Nothing after the event has happened ahead of the show on the 1st of June, then you can do so by dropping us an email over at bunkazilla@bunkazilla.co.uk. There you go. Nice and simple.
There we go. Thank you very much for joining us live today, everybody. From myself, Jeremy Graves, from him, the Dekker Dane, Mr. Iain Boulton, thank you very much for listening. Until next time, we will talk to you soon, and have a good week.
Adios.